Good morning, everybody. Thank you for all being here. I'd like to call the March 5th, 2024 meeting of the Board of County Commissioners to order. And first of all, I would like to invite Rabbi Joshua LaBelle from Temple B'nai Israel in Clearwater to come up for the invocation, and afterwards, if Commissioner Latvala could lead us in the pledge.
Shalom, everyone, and good morning.
Good morning.
What an honor and privilege it is to be here this morning to open this meeting of the Board of County Commissioners with a prayer. I am grateful for the opportunity to offer this invocation and appreciate your invitation to join you here today. Now let us pray. O Holy One of blessing, God of many names but singular in essence, we gather here today members of diverse backgrounds and faith traditions, united by a dedication, a commitment to the work of justice. We know that community leadership is a most sacred task, as together we work for the benefit of the citizens of Pinellas County. O God, you have given humanity the responsibility to create a just and fair society, as we read in Deuteronomy, Tzedek Tzedek Tirdof, justice, justice you shall pursue. Help us in this sacred task, as together we continue to build the world the prophets envisioned, where all may dwell under their vine and fig tree, with none to make them afraid. O God of justice and truth, we humbly ask your blessing upon all who are assembled here today. O God, bless us all with wisdom, insight, courage, and patience, as we seek the good, as we strive to do what is right. May our words and actions always serve the cause of justice and right, our hearts and minds steadfast in furthering the cause of honesty and fairness. Guide us as we work together in the spirit of partnership and collaboration, learning from each other and seeking to find common ground in moments of disagreement. O God, we turn to our leaders for inspiration and hope, direction and guidance. May they lead us in paths of peace, build communal cohesion through both word and deed, and bring about the blessings of justice.
Amen. I would like to ask Ken Burke, Pinellas County Clerk of the Circuit Court and Comptroller, and his staff, along with Chris Rose, Director of OMB, and his staff, to please come and join me at the podium. All right, we got a good crew here this morning. All right. Today we are having a proclamation for Government Finance Professionals Week. This proclamation designates March 18th to the 22nd as Government Finance Professionals Week, which extends appreciation to all government finance professionals in the state of Florida and Pinellas County by acknowledging their hard work, dedication, and leadership. Appreciation goes to Ken Burke and his finance staff, along with Chris Rose and the staff from the Office of Management and Budget, as well as several other finance professionals in the county administrators' departments, our constitutional offices, and other appointing authorities. The Government Finance Professionals Week is sponsored by the Florida Government Finance Officers Association, a professional association founded in 1937 and serving more than 3,300 professionals from state, county, and city governments, school districts, colleges, and universities, special districts, and private firms. This is a wonderful opportunity to showcase the talents of many professionals who are generally not in the public eye. Congratulations are due to all government finance professionals as we celebrate their accomplishments. Our finance officers' professional knowledge, integrity, and dedication ensures funds entrusted to government are properly budgeted, dispersed, accounted for, and transparently reported. This accountability is a key ingredient to ensure public's faith in government. We can be proud of our finance professionals for earning the Florida Government's Finance Officers Association Triple Crown Award, In fact, we are only one of 331 governments receiving this honor. To put this in perspective, there are over 4,000 reporting governments in the United States. The Triple Crown designation recognizes governments that receive the Government Finance Officers Association Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, the popular Annual Financial Reporting Award, and the Fiscal Year Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. The Triple Crown designation in this proclamation recognizes a significant achievement for Pinellas Clerk of the Circuit Court and Comptroller and the county's Office of Management and Budget. To qualify, a government must meet the standards of all 3 award programs, recognizing governments that produce reports that communicate their financial stories in a transparent manner. Congratulations. So, both want to accept the award here? Ken, want to say a few words?
It's nice to know where the Secretariat of Finance Office is winning the Triple Crown. But I want to say thank you to the Board of County Commission for taking the time to honor the finance professionals within the county. I think it's symbolic that we have the segregation of duties with the Office of Management Budget on this side and the clerk's finance staff on this side, showing that good accounting principles that we do segregate the duties and as a check and balance to ensure that things are done properly. And also want to take the time just to say, government workers get a bad rap, and I am so impressed in my 19 years as clerk, the professionalism, the dedication of the entire staff of Pinellas County government, and especially the finance professionals. They take their job seriously. They are professional in everything they do, have the highest ethics. And I think in accounting we use the term negative assurance. That means that if you don't hear about us, we're doing a good job. Because all the bad news reaches the press and the paper, but the good news of us having integrity in what we do, in ensuring that the tax dollars that you levy as a county commission are properly accounted for, and that every disbursement meets the public purpose test and is within the budget confines of the budget that the Board of County Commission approves. So my thanks to the tremendous dedication of our clerk staff, and I know Chris feels the same way about the Office of Management and Budget staff and all the finance professionals. Thank you again for taking the time to recognize their accomplishments. Thank you.
Well, I guess Ken said it all. Well, I'd like to invite the Board of County Commissioners up for a picture.
Okay, picture time.
Yeah. Where's a good place to do it? Want to do it there or here?
I can move everybody over on the side over here, and then I'm just going to move you guys in. Congratulations. Holding the awards.
Okay, next we have Florida Surveyors and Mappers Week proclamation. I would like to ask Trey Shimp, Field Supervisor, Field Surveyor, and Shirley Zeller, Mapping and Research Section Manager, both with Public Works, to join me as they will be accepting the Florida Surveyors and Mappers Week proclamation. Come on up. How are you? Surveyors and mappers are counted among the founding leaders of our country and were instrumental in the formation of the layout of property boundaries in the United States, which have provided our citizens the enjoyment of property ownership. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and other former presidents of the United States served fellow colonists as surveyors. Pinellas County residents recognize the valuable contributions the mapping professions have made to history, development, and the quality of life in Florida and the United States of America. The Florida Surveying and Mapping Society's Tampa Bay chapter has at least 100 active Florida licensed professional surveyors and mappers, and there are Florida licensed surveying and mapping businesses located in Pinellas County. The surveying and mapping profession requires special education, training, the knowledge of mathematics, the related physical and applied sciences, and requirements of law for evidence. Surveyors and mappers are uniquely qualified and licensed to determine and describe land and water boundaries for the management of natural resources and protection of private and public property rights. The continued advancement in instrumentation have required the surveyors and mappers not only be able to understand and implement the methods of the past, but also to learn and employ modern technology in finding solutions to meet the challenges of the future. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners that the week of March 17th through the 23rd, 2024, be recognized as Florida Surveyor and Mappers Week. And before we take a picture, are there any other surveyors and mappers in the audience that may want to join us? Please come up and join us. And if I could ask the commissioners to come up as well. Okay, next we have citizens to be heard. And let's see. Okay, first we have Robin Davidin. I apologize if I didn't get your last name correct. Right up at the podium. And you'll have 3 minutes.
Sorry. I apologize for my voice. I'm recovering from a cold. Commissioners, thank you for allowing me this time to come and speak with you. My name is Robin Davidov, and I'm here to represent the League of Women Voters of the St. Petersburg area. I'm sure you all know that our League's mission is to educate voters on important public policy and the use of public assets. We have studied the Stadium Gas Plant project for over a year and a half. Our study included looking at projects in other cities, reading articles by economists, interviewing community leaders and local experts, as well as studying carefully the current term sheet and plan of finance. We've read economists, tax experts, legal experts, and find that there's general agreement regarding the use of public funds. And in fact, most economists will agree that many, many deals that have been done between local governments and professional sports teams have not ended well. And they warn us to look carefully at these deals. We've tried to do that. An important part of our effort was a recent survey of nearly 800 registered voters in St. Petersburg, which found overwhelmingly opposition and skepticism about the current Reyes-Hines proposal. I've included the results in a package that's been given to you. I want to just highlight some of the findings of our research and also as confirmed in our survey. There's a misunderstanding that the only contribution by the county to this project is county bed taxes, and that's not correct. In fact, the term sheet is very clear. Over $704 million of city property taxes and $62 million of county property taxes, which would otherwise go to city and county schools and services, will be diverted from downtown and midtown property taxes to pay the 30 years of stadium debt service. What do economists tell us about this? They're clear that when taxes are diverted to pay for a sports stadium, taxpayers have two choices: make up the difference or go with fewer services. In addition, the county's being asked to give the Rays $350 million in bed taxes, closer to $500 million if that is financed. The Victus Advisor report that you commissioned with the city assumes that there will be 82 Rays baseball games and 86 non-baseball events each year. That is the basis for their justification for expending these kinds of funds. The problem is that the Rays don't guarantee that, either of those. Many cities have included in their contracts a clawback provision, which says—
Thank you. Your time is up.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Next, we have David Ballard Geddes Jr.
Good morning, Commission. David
Morning.
Ballard Geddes Jr. I live at Georgia Avenue in Palm Harbor. Pinellas County Home Rule Charter, Section 2.04Q, recognizes a transfer of county function and power in an attempt at taking political powers away from the public domain and privatizing such political powers, privatizing political functions as transferred. At last week's Pinellas County Charter meeting, the board members embarked on changing the language of the charter using the word consolidation instead of the word transfer in an attempt to obscure their premeditated shape-shifting and usurpation of government, endeavoring to conceal their formulating of private, personal, political aggrandizements in government. Once the government privatizes itself through such usurpations and interlocal transfers as chartered, our current government, this government, will be viewed in hindsight as a puppet government serving a banana republic. Based on Federalist Paper number 16 and 36, our court system has been used as a medium engaged in a circuitous conspiracy with our legislators, aiding and abetting a political process preconceived on the deliberate aggregate of the water supply, recognizing our current system of government as a befallen, conflagrated government. Roe versus Wade, as based on the 14th Amendment, is seen as a licentious scheme of legal delinquency, revealing our judicial system as a kangaroo court. Pinellas County Home Rule Charter is attempting to transfer the county public utility system into the hands of unelected private despots as a facility takeover in and of government, as granted in Executive Order 12803, as based on Statute 15390, as revealed in Home Rule Charter Section 2.04, as granted in Section 6.03C of the Charter to aid and abet such privateers and such consolidated transfers. The tax base levied to support such privatization is not based on the millage rate as reflected in Statute 197.3632. Our puppet government is working for interagency tyrants serving a banana republic using a kangaroo court system. The Declaration of Independence states to disavow such usurpations, and I suggest we pay attention. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Next is Linda Wade. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Linda Wade, and I am here to speak for Wade Renovations Incorporated, which is a family-owned business that I run with my husband, William Wade, and he is a licensed building contractor. So we were contacted by an Inspector Furland at the PCCLB in September because a flipper was doing possible unlicensed activity at a home in Palm Harbor. Because we had done work on this home 2.5 years prior, the flipper, of course, was, like, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. So the inspector did some digging on us, and she found that our website was missing our license number. Now, I had paid GoDaddy to redesign our website, and it still stated Florida State licensed and insured, but they didn't put the license number on there. I never really looked that closely and didn't realize it wasn't on there. So she told my husband, the contractor, that he was going to get a fine, and she said, I'm going to look at everything you did, and if you did anything else or any evidence we have against you, you're going to get more fines. So because somebody was doing illegal work, they're coming after us. So I don't personally like flippers because their job is to try to make a house look as best as possible with the least amount of money. We constantly fix things that flippers have done in the past. So instead of putting time and effort into going after us, wouldn't it be better for the PCCLB to go after people who are doing work that could harm people? People who advertise without a license, it's easier for them to sit in front of their computer and find me than to figure out what work that guy did that was unlicensed as opposed to the work that we did that was all totally legal. And I spoke with Michelle Krikovich at the PCLB by phone and email, and I asked her why a licensed contractor with 30 years working in Pinellas County with no problems would not be just given a warning and say, your license number's missing, put it up there. And she said, we don't give warnings, that wouldn't be fair. So I found that Ken Burke did a audit of the PCCLB, and it says right here in his paperwork, upon identifying a contractor that has committed violations, the investigators issue verbal warnings, letters of guidance, et cetera. So I guess she lied to me about that. And then I asked her for information on the citation and the schedule of fines because I looked up some of the meetings with the PCCLB, and there are people who did unlicensed work with no permit who got a $500 fine. So I'm getting a $500 fine for not having my license number? Just doesn't seem correct. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Barry, can we have somebody follow up with her? Okay, thank you. Okay, next we have Greg Pound.
Greg Pound, Largo. I wanted to speak what Dave was talking about. He talks about our government. The word government comes from the word govern means to rule and mint means mind, to rule the mind. And our minds were supposed to be ruled by this Bible, the Holy Bible. And it comes out of this in Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. It says, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders. And his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace, there shall be no end." And so what happens is we need to understand, if we don't get back to this government that the framers and the founders of this country started, we're headed for big trouble. Did you see in the news about Christian Ziegler up in Tallahassee, that sex scandal up there? And that was just after I spoke at our last meeting. I found it in the news, it popped up after I addressed the sexual problems that I addressed the last time. And 2 years ago, there's 170 people charged in Tallahassee for child sexual scandals. Now, that's a problem, you know what I mean? If you want to destroy the family, this sexual thing is a two-way sword. It cuts both parties. The Bible says God brings judgment on those who do things that are not to be done, but in marriage. Marriage is the place that God says we're to find sexual fulfillment. We need to teach that back in our schools and teach our young people this. Abstinence until marriage. Now we have a suicide rate last year of 50,000 Americans committed suicide. The 13 and 14-year-old suicides are out of control in America. It's gone out of control. 2023 at the CBS Grammy Awards for music, the guy gets up there, and you can go watch this, and he said, they are ready for satanic worship, and he sticks out his tongue. Now, when you go to Isaiah chapter 57 and verse 4, and read what it says about those who stick their tongue out at God as a sign of satanic, of serving Satan. And when you go to 1 Samuel 15:23, it says, rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. And when we have a nation that's now rebellion, and it's brought up in our children, the only covering, the Creator shows in the Bible, he created this authority structure, and the authority structure is built on the family. And it starts with the father, the mother, Christ at the head, and this is a structure that God created for our protection. And when children don't have an authority, and when we destroy the authority structure of our country, we're in big trouble. I mean, we have a system now that is totally falling apart because we've lost understanding of our authority structure. And I can't say it in 3 minutes, but it's there.
Thank you. Okay, that is the end of our public comments, so we'll move on to public hearings. Item number 4.
Agenda item number 4 is case number CW 2404. This is a proposal by Pinellas County to amend the countywide plan map from office and preservation to public, semi-public regarding 3.4 acres more or less located at 3720 and 3730 Tampa Road. The public hearing was properly advertised and an affidavit of publication has been received for filing. No correspondence has been received and the matter is properly before the authority to be heard.
Thank you. Do we want to see a presentation?
Move approval.
I do have one item of public comment as well from Todd Pressman.
Engagement for the applicant, if you would like to, if you would move ahead, that'd be our pleasure.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion by Commissioner Eggers and a second by Commissioner Long. Any further discussion? Okay, if we can open up the voting. Okay, passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item number 5.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Agenda item number 4 is a request by the City of Tarpon Springs to continue case number CW 2405 to the April 9th, 2024 meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. The clerk has received no correspondence on this item.
Okay. Do we need to vote on this if we're just continuing it, or? Do? Okay.
Move approval.
All right.
Continuance.
All right. Motion by Commissioner Justice,
Second.
second by Commissioner Eggers. We can open up the voting, please. Okay, passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 6.
Thank you. Agenda item number 6 is a proposed resolution to expand the boundaries of the current county seat of Pinellas County, the city of Clearwater, and to set forth the geographic boundaries of the expansion area. This is the second of 2 public hearings to consider the proposed resolution. The public hearing was properly advertised and an affidavit of publication has been received for filing. No correspondence has been received. The matter is properly before the authority to be heard, and I do have an individual who registered on Zoom to speak on this item. However, I don't see them present at the moment in the Zoom application.
Okay. Okay. Well, do we have any discussion? Yes, Commissioner Justice?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just, I assume everyone received, we did receive one email from a gentleman in Largo concerned about property taxes, but that was the only thing I got. Just wanted to make sure everyone else saw that.
Any other thoughts, comments, questions?
Move approval.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Justice, second by Commissioner Latvala. If we could open up the voting. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, and now we have consent agenda, items number 7 through 17. Would anybody like to pull anything from the consent agenda? Hearing none, we have a motion?
Move approval.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Justice, second by Commissioner Long. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Motion carries. Item number 18.
Item number 18, Commissioners, this is declaring a county-owned parcel as surplus. This is as a part of the Rainbow Village, which is a housing authority project. This will grant authorization for a quick claim deed so they can do their construction. It's a roadway piece.
Move approval.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Eggers, second by Commissioner Latvala. Any discussion? We can open up the voting, please. Passes unanimously. Item number 19.
This is Advanced Transportation Technology and Innovation Program grant with the U.S. Department of Transportation, and this is part of our Pinellas Advanced Smart Track system. So this grant would supplement our existing program and provide county funds that are already budgeted as part of our ATMS network advancements.
Okay. Any questions, discussion? I do have a quick question. So the matching is $500,000 per year over 4 years, the grant funding? Is
Yes,
that correct?
Kelly, you want to come up?
Kelly Hammer-Levy, Public Works Director. Yes, it's $500,000 per year for the next 4 years for a total of $2 million.
Okay.
And then our match is from the ATMS money that was approved previously.
Thank you very much, Kelly. All right, do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Eggers. Second. Second by Commissioner Long. We can open up the voting. Okay, passes unanimously. Item number 20.
Item number 20 is a bridge investment grant application with the U.S. Department of Transportation, Federal Highway Administration, and this is for the replacement of Beckett Bridge. It's a big project, but we're requesting grant funds of a little over $21 million. That'd be 80% of the project, along with county match of 5.3, which would be 20% of the project. Again, this is a grant request.
Okay. Okay, motion by Commissioner Justice, second by Commissioner Long.
Question.
Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, so that's a big ask.
It's a big
Is
ask.
that, do we feel, how do we feel about it? Number one, the ask, the grant application. And then if that doesn't come through, where does this project sit in our planning process?
With regard to the grant application, some of the challenges that we're having with the money that is available for grants is actually meeting the criteria. So we are not actually investing in applications where we don't feel strong, because these applications are substantial. We have to bring in consultant resources, and they cost a lot of money to put together. So we feel pretty good about this grant. It checks all the boxes as far as, you know, what is required with this grant application. You know, this is a very challenging location for a bridge, as you're aware, with the having to have the Bascule Bridge there and the drainage issues along the approaches. So with that, with the community demographics in that area meeting the requirements, the critical nature of the bridge will give it a high score in that category. So we feel pretty good about this. You know, it's probably one that of our bridges that is right now scoring better than any others. If we don't get the money, then we'll have to reprioritize Penny to construct this if the county wants to move forward.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? No? Okay. We can open up the voting? Okay, thank you. Passes unanimously. Item number 21.
Item 21 is a resolution supporting a state legislative proposal prepared collaboratively to consider changes to the derelict vessel removal program. In essence, we're working with others to work to try to make that process smoother and get the money up front quicker. If you have specific questions relating to that, Kelly is available to answer those.
Didn't that legislation pass both houses, I thought?
Oh, maybe Jill. I don't know that it did or not.
Good morning, Jill Silverboard, Deputy County Administrator. So there is legislation currently on the floor that I don't think it's actually been approved yet, but it's teed up to be approved, so we think it will. However, it is only a part of the modifications. This resolution and this group of counties is seeking something a little more dramatic to the same statutory provisions, so that we would hope that this would be teed up for next year.
Okay.
In addition to this year's.
Thank you, Jill. Any questions, comments? Have a motion? All right, motion by Commissioner Justice, second by Commissioner Long. We could open up the voting. Okay, passes unanimously. Item number 22.
Item 22 is ranking of firms and agreements with 3B Cattle LLC for the land management services on the Albar or Crossbar Albar Ranch property located in Pasco County. On Thursday, you requested additional information. I have Jeremy coming up for a brief presentation.
Morning, Jeremy.
Morning. And I have with me today David Adams, who is our hydrogeologist and management of the project manager for the management of the property in case there's any really specific questions. Good morning. So the Crossbar Albar Ranch is approximately 12,000 acres that Pinellas County Utilities and Pinellas County owns in Pasco County. It is essentially one of the well production fields that supplies water to the Tampa Bay Water Regional Group. We purchased the property in 1976 and have been managing the property as a water supply since then. In 1992, we started a contract to hire a land management group to come manage the property for us or on our behalf. And in 1998, we entered into the regional agreement with Tampa Bay Water to put water supply wells or to transfer our water supply wells to them so they can pump the water. The contract history, and from 1992 until 2018, we had two contracts. We had a land management contract and what I'll call an ecological contract. In 2018, we decided to consolidate that and rebid and refresh with potential new land management people. We consolidated 3 services into a single contract. So we had a land management contract as the prime, and then underneath that, They had subs that were our forestry experts and our ecological experts. That was a 5-year contract that came due or expired in 2023. There were extensions built into the contract. The contractor decided not to pursue renewal or extension of the contract. So in 2023, we've rebid the contract and have gone through the RFP process. We decided to split the contract back into 3 separate contracts that we would manage each individual service directly instead of having consolidated with a prime contractor and several subs. This gives us more control of the actual different activities that are incorporated into those contracts. So what's before you today is the first piece of that, which is the land management contract that was bid through a competitive bid process. 3B Cattle was selected as the most appropriate bidder. Their contract will be $1.7 million over a 5-year period with several 5-year extensions built into the contract. Coming before you next month for consideration, or I think next month, is the second piece of that, which would be the ecological services portion of the contract. That will be $1.3 million for consideration for 5 years. And then coming in the future, we're currently putting the bid package together for the forestry management portion of the land management. So all 3 of these contracts or agreements will be for a period of 5 years with several 5-year extensions. It seems like a long contract period of time, but that gives us some continuity on the project. A lot of times when we're talking about forestry operations, planting pine trees, there's 10 years or so of growth and harvesting periods. So these contracts need to be long so that you have continuity of services with the different people. As we're moving forward, what we're going to do with these contracts, what some of the goals we're doing, we're collaborating on some of the habitat restoration projects. I didn't go over very in much detail, but that map you saw on the first slide had several areas where we actually have areas designated for cattle operations, but we also have wetland habitat restorations. We're exploring gopher tortoise preservation areas, longleaf pine habitat preservation areas, scrub jay preservation areas, all within this property that we own and maintain. And with that, I will take any questions.
Yes, Commissioner Long?
Yes, thank you for that short summary. I've been most interested, though, in learning what the current dollar amount is that we are recouping from Crossbar Albar for the forestry part and the harvesting of the pine needles, et cetera.
So I don't have those actual dollar figures. I don't know if you have it in your mind, but.
I can speak to it.
Okay, go ahead.
So currently, we won't be harvesting any timber until 2032. Just the cycle of planting/pines. However, we do have an ongoing pine straw harvest contract that pays us about $6,000 a month. That acreage goes up progressively over the next 10 years, and that number will grow probably to a total of about $20,000 a month by 2032. So there is revenue going through. We're also receiving significant grant funding for habitat restoration. We're looking at a $250,000 Longleaf Pine Alliance grant funding to utilize in habitat restoration in the areas that we're not planting pines or using cattle.
I probably failed to mention, we operate this entire 12,000 acres as a net cost neutral. So all the dollars that we use and pay to manage the property, we recover through these operations like the pine straw harvesting, the timber harvesting.
And that's really what I was most interested in keeping track of, because we don't get a lot of updates on Crossbar Albar, and I've just been had my thoughts around it ever since last year when we had a little kerfluffle up there. So I'm happy to see that that's all smoothed out, I'm thinking.
Yep. Yeah, and it's imperative to us that we manage it at cost neutral, because the site is important because it is one of our water supply sources, so we need to preserve this land, but we don't want to do it at a cost. So finding ways, these grant opportunities to help us management at cost neutral.
Any other questions? I have a question.
Sure.
So the five-year extensions, are those prices already pre-negotiated with escalators?
Yes, we have built in the escalators into the contract.
Yes.
Okay, and those would come before us for approval? They don't automatically renew?
The extensions would come to you for approval, yes.
Okay.
And just to give you a scope of the cost, so let me maybe go back a second. The two costs that we have already for the new contracts is $1.7 million and $1.3 million, so that adds together to about $3 million. We don't have the first forestry services contract prices yet because it hasn't been bid, but the previous contract from 2018 to 2023 was $3.5 million for 5 years. So the prices that we're getting today are right in alignment with the prices we paid for the last 5-year contract. So we're financially, we're about stable, I guess. We don't see huge escalators occurring in the prices we're getting back from our bids.
That's good news.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Commissioner Long? Okay.
Oh, I forgot. I also wanted to ask, because I thought I remembered at some point along the way, didn't we raise cattle up there?
Yes, the part of the agreement allows the land management company, so this, and there's, under this proposal would be 3B Cattle, to lease back about 1,600 acres of property to manage their own cattle. So that comes out of their fee. They pay us back for the leased space of cattle operations.
And who owns the cattle?
They own the cattle. It is their cattle on our land that they lease our land for. So their total price is deducted by the cost that they would lease the land from us.
Thank you.
Commissioner Eggers, did you have any?
That answers part of my question. At $28,000 a month, and you mentioned $6,000 a month on pine needles, there's a delta there. So I was trying to figure out what that, you said it's cost neutral, so.
So the cost neutral is not on a year-over-year basis, because when we harvest the pine trees, it occurs once every 10 years approximately, you get a big influx of cash, and that goes to the bank account, which you spend down over a period of years.
So over that time?
Correct.
Cost neutral?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other further questions, comments? Do we have a motion? Okay, motion by Commissioner Long, second by Commissioner Flowers. If we can open up the voting.
Step, Jeremy.
Okay, passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 23.
Item number 23 is a Resilient Florida Grant Agreement with Florida Department of Environmental Protection for wastewater collection system improvements for up to 14 mobile home communities. This is a significant grant opportunity to bring them onto our county sewer and tighten up those systems. This is a significant issue to reduce SSOs, our sanitary sewer overflows, because of capacity issues within existing pipes. So if we can keep that from occurring, keep rainwater out of our system, it improves. It involves a variety of funding sources, including our own sewer replacement and renewal and ARPA funds. And there'll be a further recommendation that Jeremy has to shift additional dollars to put in to even address more mobile home communities in the future.
Any questions? Commissioner Eggers.
So you sent us an email this week explaining how those funds that we're getting grant dollars for are protected if the owner of the property does something with the property. So I just want to if you could just kind of verbalize what that protection is, so that we're not spending money on a piece of property whose use goes away tomorrow.
So the way that the grants are written, so we are in the grant, we make an agreement with the granting agency. So the county is an agreement to receive these dollars, and those agreements have these restrictions built into the agreements that we agree to. So you can't accept these dollars and spend them unless you protect the assets that you're building. So we've transferred that same type of language into the agreements with the communities, so that we will now have an easement across portions of the property where our infrastructure exists that says that we now have easements and rights to this property. You are not allowed to do anything that encumbers or changes the use of the property, that changes the use of the assets in that infrastructure. Meaning, you can't redevelop this site, excuse me, that changes the nature of why we built you a sewer.
Appreciate that, thank you.
Anything else? Okay. If there's no other further questions or discussion, do we have a motion? Second by Commissioner Flowers, or, I'm sorry, motion by Commissioner Flowers, second by Commissioner Justice. We could open up the voting. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 24.
This item is a Resilient Florida Grant Program Agreement with Florida Department of Environmental Protection. This would harden, in essence, 4 utility department facilities, and the 4 facilities are listed within your packet. Total of $6.7 million with a county match. Or $10 million, 6.7 is county match.
Questions? Okay. All right. Motion by Commissioner Justice, second by, I don't know if we could split it between Commissioner Long and Commissioner Eggers, but we'll go with Commissioner Long. If we could open up the voting. Passes unanimously. Item number 25, County Attorney.
Under item number 25, I'm requesting authority to file litigation in the case that is referenced. This is the foreclosure of a special magistrate lien that arose from a code enforcement proceeding and relates to property in unincorporated Clearwater.
Okay. Okay, motion by Commissioner Long.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Justice. Please open up the voting. Passes unanimously. Item number 26.
Item number 26 is also a request to file litigation in the foreclosure of a special magistrate lien, again arising from a code enforcement case and related to property in unincorporated Largo.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Long. Second. Second by Commissioner Justice. Please open the voting. Passes unanimously. Item number 27.
In item number 27, I recommend you approve the settlement as recommended in the confidential memo, which you have had the opportunity to read.
Right. Okay.
You read it on Thursday. I passed it around on Thursday at the work session.
Motion by Commissioner Long.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Justice. You want a moment to review that? Yep. All right, passes unanimously. Item number 28.
I have no reports today.
Okay, thank you. County Administrator reports.
3 items, Commissioners. First is, now that we're through the first quarter of the fall with our financials, you're going to begin to get financial updates as we move into the new year. They just become more meaningful after we have a period of time. We've tried to improve that, but we welcome your feedback as we get this report out, how we can make that information as complete and understandable as possible. So please give us your feedback, but we're going to get that to you shortly, and then we'll do that monthly, henceforth for the rest of the year. The third Tri-County Board of County Commissioners meeting is set for April 19th, and that'll be at Ruth Eckert Hall. I'm going to begin to meet with the other county administrators, and I'm going to do the same thing with you. If you begin to think about topics, things we can talk about, I'll have a draft agenda when we meet, get your feedback on that, so we begin to kind of solidify the agenda for that meeting. And then finally, the committees have ended up in Tallahassee, and so right now, but I hesitate to, celebrate before those over. It doesn't look like an FRS bill, which would provide a COLA, would pass.
Really?
I'm hopeful that that is the case because there's nothing coming out of committee. So That would be obviously very good news, for us. And the other thing to celebrate is currently, as it stands, all of our appropriation requests are included. And so we've got a strong track record there. But again, that's just as of last night, and more to come, as you got next week. And so there's going to be stuff next week. Is this Friday? Is it this Friday? Oh, this week. So right now, the committees have ended, so we're hopeful.
I thought you'd said it ended already. And
No, this week.
All right,
Is-
gotcha.
The committees have ended,
Got it.
okay? But, many of you know better, but, we're,
Lots can happen.
the two things, obviously, our appropriations bill, obviously, they have to go to the governor. But the biggest one, obviously, driving our budget this next year is the issue of the COLA, the FRS COLA. And so
You'll probably only dodge that bullet for a year.
this is, well, so this is, this is the week where it's, something's got to happen. So right now, it looks good. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Barry. All right, so County Commission, new business. Commissioner Flowers.
Well, thank you very much. Start off by just reminding everybody, if you haven't already seen the advertisement, that NACO will be in Tampa, at the Tampa Marriott in July of this year. So if you serve on a committee or whatever, you should have received an email with a link so that you can go ahead and reserve your hotel room and register early. If not, I can forward that information to you. But they just wanted to make sure that people that served on those committees, if you were staying over, were in the host hotel because of how quickly things will be moving. Just don't forget, if you haven't already registered, the Florida Association of Counties Conference is June 25th through the 28th. Those rooms are filling up fast for whatever reason, but it's at the same hotel as last year. So I hope that you will make it, and I hope that you will join me as I will be moving up to First Vice President. So I hope you all will join me. We had a pretty good time last time, so I think you all will enjoy it again this time. Excuse me. The deadline for filing, if you desire to run for an officer, which the second VP spot is open, would be March 15th. Currently, there are two candidates, which is Commissioner John Meeks and Commissioner Mariano. T-BARTA had its final closeout audit, and it was a clean audit, so you should be happy to hear that. We should be finalizing the amounts that will be reimbursed back to municipalities as well as the county shortly. So as soon as we get that, county will get its money back, a percentage of its money back, based on pro ratas. I had an opportunity to attend the COC committee that deals with homelessness. The primary issue and main discussion focused on seniors that are homeless, because we really do not, well, not really, we don't have specific shelters for seniors 65 and older. And some of the outreach teams have found that that number is growing. Most of the shelters are for either families, which we needed to do that, and then certainly single individuals, but nothing specific for them. So now the focus and issue is how do we look for services that we can provide them based on what some of their health needs may be, and then how to assist them in attaining any benefits that they may have, whether it's linking up with Social Security if they're a veteran, linking up with their veteran services or whatnot. So that's where we are with the COC meeting. I toured Eckerd College. Eckerd has a lot going on the backside. If you have an opportunity and you desire to do so, I think it doesn't sometimes get the recognition in the community that it has when it comes to its marine sciences programs, when it comes to its environment programs, or even the contributions that it makes regarding the arts. So if you get a chance and you would like to go visit, a lot of new construction is going on there, but it is a jewel in the heart of our community. You will be receiving invitations shortly for the First Ladies event. That is another acknowledgement for First Ladies that are being acknowledged by the Dr. Carter G. Woodson African American Museum. I was a first lady some years ago, and I still am. I returned. But we'll have, I think it's 5 new young ladies that will be honored on that day. And it's being honored for the contributions that you're making in the community, not that you are a first lady of like a church or something of that nature. So I think some people kind of get that confused. I'm excited about the upcoming Skyway Lofts 2 groundbreaking event. Our partnership with Blue Sky Communities and how they've utilized our Penny for Pinellas dollars, I think, along with other contractors and developers, is truly an attribute to what we do and how we partner to bring on some additional affordable, or I guess the word now would be attainable units. So I'm excited. I'm already getting calls about how do I get on the waiting list, and they haven't even broke ground, but that just shares how dire the need still is for affordable housing out there. So I hope you're able to attend that ribbon cutting ceremony. And then finally, just thank you to PSTA, our members here, Commissioner Scott, Commissioner Latvala, Commissioner Eggers, Commissioner Peters. Thank you all for the award that I received just for my service on PSTA on last week. It was kind of good to be back in the room. And thank you for my lifetime bus pass. I ride it anyway, and I pay, and I'll pay anyway. I think someone was wondering what is the cost of that lifetime card and whether or not I'm filing that or claiming that for the gift. But when I ride, I'm paying. So just know that for the record. And that's it for me.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Flowers. Commissioner Justice.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not a lot of official meetings, but a lot of events in the last week. Had the opportunity to attend the Boys and Girls Club annual gala with the sheriff and his team. Great night there. The Great American Cleanup kickoff by our own Keep Pinellas Beautiful at Gandy Beach Friday morning. The Treasure Island Madeira Beach annual awards luncheon on Friday out on Treasure Island. Groundbreaking for expansion and renovation of the Mandy Williams Center in Safety Harbor. They've got a really beautiful new building plan there. And then attended the St. Pete EDC annual meeting, and also a lot of good information there. And also the Downtown Partnership had a downtown summit, and it was really fascinating, the information that they shared about all the growth in downtown St. Pete, and some of the statistics were interesting as far as where the folks are coming from, because I think there's this thought it's all coming, people from out of town and everything, but something like almost 80% of the people moving into downtown are moving from somewhere else in Pinellas County. But anyway, a lot of different interesting statistics that they provided, and had some neat speakers there. But just keep them busy. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Justice. Commissioner Latvala.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And the first rule about the Florida legislature is that anything can happen until the hanky drops on sine die. So nothing is dead, and a few of us have seen many a Lazarus rise up at the very end. But as for the county commission business, I wanted to give a shout out to Laura Brock, the former CFO at the JWB, on her retirement, and thank her for her many years of service to our community, and particularly to JWB. Last week, I attended a Habitat home dedication in North Greenwood with Commissioner Scott. There was also a YAC activity that I attended along with Tyler, my aide. And just FYI, they're preparing for their end of the year party and their career day. And as such, I volunteered some folks to participate in career day. Several county departments may be involved in their interviews that are upcoming, particularly the county attorney's office, as there were several students that are interested in pursuing a legal profession. So I volunteered some of our attorneys to participate in that. And lastly, on March 11th, the Lila Goody Foundation is having a Chick-fil-A fundraiser at the Countryside location from 5 to 8 on March 11th. So come and eat some chicken and support a good cause. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Latveller. Commissioner Eggers.
Let me go, I've got a few things here. In the spirit of raising the standards for our retail stores, pet stores, I mentioned the last time the Purdue University certification and how non-transparent it is, so we're not really quite sure what it means, and there's only a few that are getting it, but it'd be nice to know. The second point I just wanted to bring up is that we are concerned about PACE funding in Pinellas County so that we don't allow residential PACE programs, so that our residents need to be protected to some degree on that front. Among other reasons, we don't have that service here. Well, one of the concerns in this industry is at these pet stores that there are financing programs that can be a little onerous, and so we just need to be understanding of that. And again, in the spirit of raising standards, that'll be some of the discussions that we have going forward. So just bringing things to light. Second, had some good conversation with the lady here earlier from the League of Women Voters and others about the raise deal. Had a good conversation with Mayor Welch. He mentioned there's a committee of the whole meeting next month. There's a couple of those, so if anybody wants to get more details on the deal that's going on down in St. Petersburg, there'll be that, and he's going to let us know when those are. Charter review, just focusing on a few things right now, and we still have opportunities to get more ideas. So if there's other ideas that want to be brought forward, it's not too late. We probably have another 4 or 5 meetings before we kind of have to shut those off. Term limits is making its way through. We'll see what that looks like at the end. The residents petition process, bringing a little more clarity and removing the special elections provision. That's being considered at this time, and nothing is passed votes or anything, so we're just talking about that, lowering the 8% to 5% requirement on that as well. And then there's some charter language clarification for the appointment and removal of county attorney's office, and nothing to do with our current county attorney, but just in the future going forward. So some good conversations on those fronts and a couple of others, but had a nice opening day at Palm Harbor Little League, and I did throw out the first pitch there, and it was about a 50-foot pitch, so it wasn't too far, and nice and slow, about 30 miles an hour. But had a good time. Toronto Blue Jay opening day was great. It was wonderful to see former Mayor Manny Koutsourais there being recognized as well. Met with the Boys and Girls Club and Junior Achievement to learn more about what they do, and it's just, obviously good organizations doing great work. There's a couple things on the affordable housing front. I've been contacted by somebody, and I'll learn more this week, but it was about rehab projects being eligible for penny money. And there's apparently a little pushback, but I'd just like to understand that a little bit more, why rehab projects wouldn't be eligible, given that they would be less expensive to bring to market and come to market a lot quicker. So just a question mark, and maybe we can look at that in some future workshop. A reminder, John Maroney First Responders Recognition Dinner is March 23rd at the Hilton Carillon from 6 to 9 o'clock. I'm starting to get a lot of emails, and I think it's something we need to look into. I know Commissioner Justice's office got a response from Duke Energy, but there seems to be a changing of tree removal policy by Duke Energy that is not just minor trimming. It seems to be removal of some significant trees on private property where they have easements over top. And I just think, and they're supposed to be talking to neighborhoods before they do stuff, and that, according to a couple of neighborhoods, that's not happening. So I'd like to understand that a little better, Barry. So if we could maybe look into that, that would be helpful. And I'm also continue to get some ideas on our waste to energy plant, different things, and I throw things at Barry and his team. And I don't know, maybe we could get a presentation at one of our future workshops on the waste to energy plant, what we're doing. I know that the money that we get from Duke Energy is reducing dramatically this year, next year, somewhere. We've been talking about it for the last 8 years, and we're close. So I just like maybe get an update on what's going on. There's new technologies, new efforts, new interests in that waste-to-energy plant from different groups. So maybe we can have that on a future workshop. And that's all I have, Mr.
Commissioners,
Chair.
on that particular note, we have that scheduled for August, and that's when we're going to bring back the new power agreement.
Great. Thank you, Barry. Okay. And we could bring just an overall presentation on the plant and where we're at.
Yes, correct.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
That's all I had.
Thank you, Commissioner Eggers. Commissioner Long.
Report today is a little lengthy, but I think the subject matter is important to share with all of you, so please bear with me. I'll try to hurry. We had our first BTS board meeting a few weeks ago of the year. Commissioner Latval and I attended, along with several of the constitutionals and representatives of the courts. Mike Twitty and Julie Marcus were both reappointed as chair and vice chair respectively. And we decided at this meeting to adopt a countywide AI policy, which we all agreed will be a living document and will be updated as the situation and needs change over time. There was some hesitation at first to pass this policy at this meeting, but since technology changes so quickly, the thought was any policy was better than nothing at this point, and the board as a whole felt we were already behind. So let's get something in place for now, and we'll keep tweaking it as needed. But that whole conversation brought to my mind the fact that I may be wrong, but I don't believe that we, as a policy board, have had a deep dive discussion into AI and how it might change the way we do our work. I think that might be important going forward, Barry, to have some discussion with my colleagues here to see how best to handle that going forward. Because it definitely is going to be part of our future, and I think we need to have a better understanding of that whole subject matter.
We can add that to a work session. I mean,
Yeah.
we were just at a conference, and actually Brian was one of the keynote speakers about all we're doing with AI and the integration of that and pretty much everything we do, so.
So the board also recommended moving forward with the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council possibility of using our BTS system for their IT services. We reviewed the BTS interlocal agreement, strategic plan, and future telephone strategy, which may include moving forward with no phones for most of our employees. Jeff made a great point that replacing all the old phones with new ones is going to be very expensive and may not be necessary for most people. We only get one chance at this issue every 10 years or so. So this would be a great opportunity to think outside the box, since most of us don't even have a landline in our homes anymore. And do we really need that one that's sitting at our desk in our offices, since, you know, we're there so seldom anymore? I had a really good meeting with Brian All, Stu Sternberg, and Matthew Silverman of the Rays a week ago, and I'm hopeful that we can make this great economic development project. It's the greatest economic development project in the history of our county, and I do say so in the region. It'd be nice to see that come to reality sooner rather than later. I think you might all agree with me that time is not our friend on this issue. There's an awful lot of misinformation being put out throughout the county about this particular project, and it's easy to pick apart any deal and think we could do better. But I have to say that between the city staff and the county administration and the Rays, it's my opinion that they have really worked hard, all of the three partners, as well as Hines, to put together this deal that is in the best interest of all of our citizens in this county. I don't think we talk enough about all of the different risks that the partnerships are taking on and how seriously we're looking at all of that. I think it would go a long way to kind of tamping down some of the MAD. And while I'm talking about MAD, a good segue into our first few meetings of our canvassing board this last week. We had a lot of citizen participation. For those of you that haven't yet served on the canvassing board, there's a room right there with a big glass window that citizens can look through and observe. But I was taken aback by some of the nasty, really disrespectful comments that were made to some of the election staff that were trying to manage, you know, what was going on. But it really heightened my awareness that there's no protection out there for our election workers. And it's a very big responsibility with an awful lot of detailed work. So getting distracted while you're doing it is not a good thing. And many of the issues that the citizens were raising with the election staff had nothing to do with the county. They were all issues that start at the state level, where we are trying to abide by the laws that the state legislature has put in place. So, yeah. They do. They have one, but he was out front, and we are way in the back, as you know. There was no one back there. So that's a problem when you have that many people that are that angry, I think. So I could go on and on about that. It was just really upsetting to me to see how our staff were being treated. And unfortunately, Jewel was not there, so I'm sure you heard about it from your people. But anyway, that's my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Long.
You're welcome.
All right, so I worked yesterday diligently on my report and promptly left it on the printer. So,
I'm glad I'm not the only one that does that.
I'm going to go off of memory here. So, we had, I think it was last week, we had a Tampa Bay water meeting, and we purchased a new permit for 590,000 gallons per day from a well field in South Hillsborough County, which is new capacity, which will help meet future demands. We had update on the regional demand forecast for 2025, which is higher than what it was projected to be a year ago, and also the regional demand projection for 2043, which is also higher than it was projected a year ago, which just underscores the fact that we need to continue looking at further conservation efforts and developing new supply. Tampa Bay Water completed their CAFR, and all was good there. The desalination plant is undergoing repairs and is on schedule to be back up and running in the fall. We elected a new chair, Hillsborough County Commissioner Harry Cohen, and Vice Chair, St. Pete City Council woman Lizette Hanowitz. I attended the Dunedin State of the City meeting with Commissioner Eggers, which was well attended and very well done, I thought. And it was very nice to see former Mayor Manny Koutsaras, thank you, who was mayor, I think, from 88 to 94 or thereabouts, and he was presented with the keys of the city, and he got up and was speaking, and I thought, well, he could still be the mayor. I mean, he really is just a good guy. So that was nice to do. I also attended the Habitat dedication with Commissioner Latvala, and I unfortunately don't remember the names of the couple that received the house, but they also announced at that time that they were expecting a baby. So the timing of that was just absolutely perfect. Also, I had a very good meeting with the Raise ownership group last week as well. And I continue having discussions with residents about their thoughts and feelings on the deal. And I will be speaking at the Gulf Beaches Rotary next week, and that's a topic that I intend to bring up there and get their thoughts and their input on that. And then I just also want to recognize Commissioner Flowers for being awarded the W.E.B. Du Bois Humanitarian Award. So congratulations. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
It was a surprise, actually. One of the most notable playwriters from New York has a play that is traveling, and it is taking persons back in time where the persons who are testifying are notable African-American leaders. Dr. Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, etc. And so he attended my church because every year we have, for the whole month of February, each Sunday, it's something that's attributable to African-American history. And Dr. Uhuru Williams was there, who is a notable author, professor in African history and African studies. And so I didn't even know. The gentleman gets up there, he asked the pastor, could he give a few words? And he said that he had requested 2 honors from the White House to be able to present at the opening of his play. And one was a presidential award that went to my pastor for his work in the community, for the restoration of the Lincoln Cemetery, and for other work that he's done. And then the other award was the W.E.B. Du Bois Humanitarian Award. And so I was in tears, but it's astounding to have that because W.E.B. Du Bois, I had a chance to visit his home when I went to Ghana. I had a chance to go to his home and the school. And then at Howard University, W.E.B. Du Bois was and still is a very notable figure when it came to the establishment of the college. So anyway, I was in tears, I was excited, I still am excited about it. So I will be going over to Tampa to receive that award. So thank you for sharing that.
Congratulations, Renee.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And then just tomorrow, I think tomorrow is the Skyway Lofts groundbreaking. And I know that some of us will be there. I unfortunately have a value adjustment board meeting, so I have a conflict, can't make it. But that's a very, very important groundbreaking. And lastly is we have the Skyway Bridge lighting resolution. So, okay, got it. So if we could have a motion on that. Move approval. All right. Motion by Commissioner Flowers, second by Commissioner Justice. Can we just do voice vote on that, or do we have to open up the?
We'll bring up the voting card.
Okay. All right, passes unanimously. Thank you. And then Commissioner Eggers?
Yeah, at the State of the City in Dunedin the other day, they one of the things that they talked about that they had accomplished this past year, and just from being out there trying to fill sandbags, like helping folks out when we have sandbags and stuff, they bought this new machine that does 1,200 sandbags a day, and I thought, oh my gosh, this sounds wonderful. So in the spirit just of saving us, and also just showing how to use them. So it's not just putting the sandbags up, it's getting plastic and doing it the right way, that they do have success with them. But in any event, it was pretty cool. And I thought, well, gosh, they have one for 1,200 bags. Anyway, just saying, thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Justice.
Just to follow up on our conversation earlier, the budget is baked, it's fully set. It will hit the desk some point today, and then that 72-hour period will start for them to get on Friday. So our projects that were in there that Barry talked about, they're good until it gets to the governor's desk, at least.
All right, great. Yes, Commissioner Flowers.
Commissioner Eggers, I just want, when you were talking about PACE, I know we've been tracking that through the legislative group with the Florida Association of Counties, And I know that there was some legislation regarding PACE and just trying to change a little bit. I'm happy to share that with everyone. I don't know if you've been taking a look at that or not.
That'd be great. You know,
Yeah,
I was just using that as an example on this, on the other, some of the lending that goes on there. We're concerned about, so we're going to be, thank you.
But I know we're having discussions about PACE and private residents and versus commercial, so I'll make sure I share that, because we've been kind of tracking that a little bit more. And then thank you for those of you that brought up some comments about meeting with the RAISE individuals. Thank you very much for having those meetings and asking whatever questions that you need to ask, because we can't talk about it, individually. We can only talk about it when we get here. And sometimes it is interesting to me as it relates to how persons will phrase things, because the city of St. Petersburg has that in-town redevelopment piece, which is what they're talking about when it comes to revenue being more than. So I'm just glad that you all are having those conversations. All of us are having those conversations, and it'll all shake out in the wash. Thank you.
But I have a question, Barry. Do we have a projection on when we collectively are going to be talking about the RAISE deal?
I would certainly hope, but to be able to brief you on that, I have to have documents and comments. So we are in the process of reviewing them. We're going to be at the top tomorrow discussing them with all the attorneys involved. We have another meeting scheduled later this month between Joel and Don and our outside counsel. They have spent countless hours reviewing the various component pieces. And remember, when you have lots of documents, the way in which you bolt them together becomes the enforceability piece and the capitalization piece and all those things to make sure the agreements are good. It's very complicated. We're in the thick of it, but I don't have a timeline. Rob Gertis set a three-week deadline to try to bring these things together, but that requires comments from all the parties. So we're working diligently, daily on this project.
So just to understand the process, so that the city would vote on their piece first, and then it would come to us for us to vote on our piece?
Not necessarily. I think that's one of the things we have to work out is, the process to have this approval. I would think that makes sense, but, we haven't talked about timing or anything because I haven't had documents to even brief you on. I will assure you that we'll have individual discussions on those before we bring those up publicly, but we're trying, the devil's in the detail, and we're in the heart of the detail right now.
We'll talk.
Anything else, anybody? All right, well, thank you very much. If there's nothing else for the good of the order, then we are adjourned.